Hi everyone, welcome back to Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. I'm Michael Statham. I'm joined by Abdul for an Eredivisie show, a Q&A session where you've asked questions about the Eredivisie. We'd like to talk about the Eredivisie title race, the likes of Robin van Persie coming in as final manager, much to discuss. But Abdul, how are you first of all? And have you noticed what's in the background of my video here? Which is a key reason why I've had to do a video-only podcast today. So I know people like to listen to audio sometimes, but got to show everyone something very special.
These beautiful scarves, I was waiting for them. Yeah, the scarves
100%.
of Football-Oranje. Custom job, or it's a custom job, beautiful.
Oh, they won't go around again. Yeah, look at that. So Abdul, you've got yours in the post, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's being shipped to me, and I'm gonna wear it next time I have a stream with you. It's beautiful. I think every fan of Oranje should get one, really.
So obviously we've put these up for sale on a website called Big Cartel. We'll put a link to that underneath this video here on YouTube. And yeah, this is an opportunity to support Football-Oranje. I mean, many years ago we had Football-Oranje wristbands before the Euro 2020, and now this is another opportunity to support us and what we do. Things are getting more expensive. We have a subscription to things, so we can host things like the website and the podcast. And to do that, we have to every now and again make some really nice merch for people to buy. But knowing that, of course, anything that you can donate to us, really, like that goes straight back into what we do at Football-Oranje. Like, we have a free Dutch football podcast and want to keep it that way. But if there's a way that you can support us, the Football-Oranje scarf is a way to do that. So, I mean, I've got them on display in the background over there. They're double-sided scarves. So you've got Football-Oranje, of course, on the one side, and then you've got number one Dutch football fan on the other. It's got our logo, of course, which you just seen. Yeah, they're really, really lovely. And anyone that's seen them with their own eyes, if you like, people that are quite close to me, they've really liked the look of them so far. And yeah, some have definitely gone already, and people have supported the podcast by doing that. Of course, if you can, that'd be amazing. If you can't, that's fine too. There are other ways of supporting us. But yeah, the Football-Oranje scarf is now available. Should I just hold it up and show people up close?
Yeah. Would you like to say how much each one costs?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, like, we're from the UK, Mike and I, and we've put them up in British pounds, £25. That is quite pricey for a scarf. Of course, shipping is on top of that. But I just want to explain that, of course, is a custom made. This is something that I think is a big sell for these scarves. They're actually made by a company that makes football scarves for Dutch clubs, Belgian clubs, and English clubs. I can't remember some of the names right now, but I know Gillingham in England, for example, they use this company, and they're very, very good. It's like quality scarves. That's my favorite scarves that I've got now, for sure. And I've got a couple of really special ones behind me. Yeah, I thought we'd just start the podcast anyway, talking about that. People have been asking where you deliver to, where we deliver to, anywhere in the world. So if you purchase in the US, we've sent some already to the US, anywhere in Europe, Canada too. Yeah, anywhere. I mean, Abdul could have had his sent straight to Kuwait. You've had it sent somewhere to family instead, haven't you? But they can go anywhere in the world. So if you want one, get yourself one, and yeah, hopefully you can do so and support Football-Oranje. I don't think I've forgotten, Abdul.
Well, I really hope Oranje fans all around the world help us with that. We're talking about £25. You pay it once in your life, and to get this beautiful scarf, it's something really nice to keep the stream free for everybody. So it will be great if Dutch fans all around the world support us really with that. It's beautiful. I cannot wait to get mine, really.
They feel really nice as well, very soft. They keep you very warm. I can tell you that for sure. This is not a cheap design. So hopefully people will get their hands on those. So yeah, that's why we're on YouTube today. So we can first of all show off the scarves to you. Otherwise, the first 5 minutes of an audio podcast would have sounded a bit silly with us just jamming on about scarves that you can't see. So now that we're here and you can see us, we've also got a Q&A, and we've got some questions we're going to put on screen for this podcast, Abdul. I think that a really good place to start has got to be Robin van Persie coming in at Feyenoord. So we've got a question, which is hopefully going to come on screen any second now. Can we see it yet?
No, not yet.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no! Now you've disappeared. We want you on screen, Abdul.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll read it out first. What shall I before I put it on screen? So, how do you see Robin van Persie as final coach? Take into account the brilliant run of Pascal Bossart. Should he be given an extended run, or at least an assistant to Robin van Persie? Well, I sent his question in here, Abdul, and there's quite a few bits to this. Of course, with Van Persie coming in, having had a full season at Heerenveen yet as a head coach, he was
well,
in the final youth academy coaches, wasn't he?
yeah.
And he's with René Harker, who I like to discuss in a moment too. But what were your initial thoughts on this one?
To be honest, I saw Feyenoord fans happy with Van Persie, and I think the reason is because he's a Feyenoord legend, not because he's a good coach. Just like when Gio took the job also a few years ago when he won the league, people were happy with him because he's the son of Feyenoord. But is he gonna be a good coach for Feyenoord? To be honest, I have my doubts. So far, Van Persie hasn't proven anything really with Heerenveen. The winning percentage is 34%, or 34%. It's not really something promising. I just hope he proves me wrong, and he shows a quality once he starts coaching Feyenoord. I think Pascal was doing great with Feyenoord. I saw how the team played against Milan with all the injuries, conceding an early goal from Jimenez, the ex-Feyenoord attacker and main player, playing in San Siro. But still, the team pulled it together and they managed to score an equalizer. I know there was a red card, but the team showed quality. They showed mental strength the entire match. So I think Pascal is a good coach. He won yesterday against Almere City, despite, again, all the injuries. We're talking about at least 8 injured players in the team. So, to be honest, I wanted Pascal to continue, but now what's done is done. Van Persie is there. I just wish him the best, really.
Yeah, Van Persie coming in, that for me is it's not a good appointment. I think that he's got the name, obviously, the reputation. He has now got some managerial experience. He has come through the final ranks in terms of the coaching sense, coaching the under 18s, under 19s, and being an assistant coach as well. But I don't know. I don't think he's done enough at Heerenveen to really impress. But you could argue, did he have the squad for that as well? He's in a mid-table bunch between sort of 8th and 16th, maybe, where any team's going to finish anywhere, it seems. Bit of much of a muchness with the playing quality, but managerial quality, could that not have stood out if he was really coaching to get the best out of some of the players he's got, especially the young players? So that leaves me with many questions. Has he got what it takes to manage Feyenoord in the Champions League next season, maybe in the Europa League? For me, I think the answer is no. But René Harker coming in as assistant coach, that could be interesting. That they seem very different, Van Persie and Harker, which could be good. It could be detrimental. Harker, of course, doing a good job at Go Ahead Eagles, following Erik ten Hag to Man United in the summer. Didn't work out, clearly, with Van Nistelrooy there as well. Van Nistelrooy now is struggling as a Leicester coach. But Harker, for me, has got something about him, but enough to manage finally the Champions League. As I just questioned with Van Persie, I don't know. I don't think so. So there are many doubts to me anyway.
Yeah. Well, Heerenveen now is the 9th on the table. They have 27 points. Similar
9th means nothing, though. They could be 15th, couldn't they? Quite easily with the points gap. There is no points gap between those teams.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But they have the same number of points that Groningen and Breda and NAC Breda have. This is the position of Heerenveen usually. They are usually in the top 10 in the league. So Van Persie did not add anything to the team, in my opinion. I was expecting him at least to fight. Maybe he does have a chance to fight for a European spot for the Conference League, maybe. But I was expecting better from him, to be honest. Again, I have my doubts. I think he will struggle in the Champions League. I really hope I'm wrong. I wish he succeeds, but nothing is promising. He doesn't have the experience. The only thing he has, as you said, is the name. the reputation, and of course he is the son of Feyenoord, the most impressive player Feyenoord produced since 2000 maybe.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think he'll be like a Van Nistelrooy appointment. That the name's there, but managerial quality, I don't know. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But it is exciting. At least it's a story, and it adds attention to the Netherlands and the league that's in it as well. So yeah, he comes straight in, and can Feyenoord do well from there? The next question leads on from that. So we had these questions up on X, on Twitter, to ask people what they wanted us to talk about. And here's the next one. So what is the difference that makes PSV and Feyenoord go ahead in the Champions League and stutter in the Eredivisie? Yeah, so Feyenoord have ended up sacking Brian Priske. This was another question that was asked as well. I just thought I'd tie it in here. Did he deserve to be sacked? And why have Feyenoord done well in the Champions League and PSV as well? So PSV, of course, on a run. That has meant they've conceded the Eredivisie title race to Ajax at this stage, now 5 points behind Ajax, having been 9 points ahead. And yet PSV did so well getting past Juventus. People have said that the attacking style of football that Peter Bosz plays at PSV, it suits the Eredivisie and not the Champions League. And yet it worked an absolute treat against Juventus the other day. So brilliant performances from both of these two Dutch clubs in the Champions League. But what's going on in the Eredivisie? I think that actually this is quite a peculiar question. I can't quite put my finger on it, but maybe we can discuss it, Abdul, and figure it out.
Well, I think the league has a different atmosphere from the Champions League. The league is always more difficult. I remember Ajax, the season they reached the semi-final of the Champions League. This same season, they lost to Feyenoord 6-2. And Feyenoord wasn't an impressive team at that time at all. The atmosphere in the league is different. The mentality in the league is different. So I think that's the reason. And maybe that also explains what happened to Brest, the French team. They lost to PSG 7-1 in the Champions League, but it's between two French teams again. While they defeated many teams, and they were so impressive in the Champions League. So I think, as I said, I think it's the atmosphere. Feyenoord had ups and downs with the Priske. In some matches they were brilliant. In some other matches where they were terrible. It's unbelievable that you defeat Bayern München 3-0 and you lose to Lille 6-1. And you lose to Salzburg 3-1, the team that did not even make it to the knockout stage.
If I may, the defensive records that you've just sort of said there says it all. That it was like the players were turning up to play against one team, Bayern Munich, keeping a clean sheet, having not had much of the possession. So great saves, great defending, and then conceding so many goals against Lille when they had more shots on target against them, against Lille. I don't think that's a luck thing. I think that has to be player mentality, performances, because the injuries have been there and the manager was the same. So is it that Priske couldn't get his players fired up, or is this the players' fault? I think that's the interesting debate to be had there.
To be honest, it could be both. Some players, they know they are facing Bayern München or Milan.
Yeah.
So they try to show the best, since the player wants to show himself for big clubs in case they might buy him or something, So that's also a case. Plus, I think some players maybe took it easy with Lille. We defeated big names. Lille is not as strong as the names we played before, like Benfica, for example. So they fell into that trap. You think you're big, but then a small team destroys you. That happens a lot in football, and I think that's what the players fell for really against Lille. They came thinking big, but they were destroyed.
They were indeed, and PSV, they pulled out the bags. Just to touch upon that before we talk about the next question. Absolutely amazing football, high tempo, attacking, fullbacks up so high to support what was going on in attack. I thought as well, really good substitutions from Bosz. Not necessarily the timing of it, but more the quality of the player he could bring on. That has got a lot to do with the recruitment at PSV. That they could bring these players on. They had a couple of injuries as well, PSV, but they could bring on Malacia at fullback. They could bring on Bakayoko, and it made a difference. It kept them having all this energy, and whilst it was tricky at times in extra time, they managed to get the goal and see it through. Yeah, I thought that was fantastic, and all credit to PSV and Bosz in that occasion. So now, of course, having to do it again. Before we talk about the next team, then the next question, the fixtures coming up, so we will have a podcast for PSV against Arsenal, potentially one as well for Spurs against RZ. But those are two ties where Dutch teams are playing English sides, so we'll provide that service fee, of course, being an English language podcast. We do, of course, have Feyenoord up against Inter Milan, so against another side from Milan, and Ajax playing Eintracht Frankfurt. That will be a really tasty tie. I think that Ajax got the best chance still so far at the moment of getting through again another round. But that's debate had, I guess, for another day, another podcast. With PSV doing well and Arsenal struggling, that could be another opportunity. Another question. Of course, Abdul. I'll get the next question up.
Yeah, if I may make a comment about Boss, the match against Juventus, I think this is the best match. Boss used his tactics. The best match, he knew how to defeat the opponent. He was very patient in the first half. The second half, he decided to attack. He played in a very smart way. This is probably the best tactics I've seen for Boss since he took the job with the PSV, really. And it went very well. Defeating Juventus 3-1 was something out of the question. Nobody expected that at all, actually.
Yeah, well said. Next one's from William, another long-serving follower of the show. He asks, how much of Ajax's resurgence comes down to Farioli, and does his management paper over the cracks in the development system, or are the two comp's products like Taylor, Fitzium, and Harter turning his stars? Yeah, that's a great question. Double loaded, if you like. Let's answer the first bit first. So, how much comes down to Farioli? I think an incredible amount comes down to what this manager has been able to do to this club. He's made it great again. They haven't got silverware to sort of show for it yet, but it's looking really good for them, overturning a 14-point deficit with PSV to now lead the table by 5 points. A win over Go Ahead Eagles today, again having less possession than their opponents, even though they had another player advantage over them today. It wasn't the best football, but they deserved to win. They came out second half, played better, and got the 3 points. And that's how they're doing it this season. They've been doing the Europa League as well. Some nervy moments, some scraping past teams. Adomac's papering over cracks. I think that's how Ajax are now going to play, and it is very effective and efficient.
Well, it's very easy to answer this question. You just need to see the squad last year and this year. It's pretty much the same squad. The changes are very few. But Farioli, look what Farioli did for this squad, and look how the team was under Van Schip, with all respect to Van Schip as a manager and as an ex-football player. Farioli took the same team pretty much, but look what he made out of this team. First, he taught the players how to be patient in every match, not rushing into a win. And that's why you see the team winning quietly. Some fans are not happy with that, but he's getting the results. Now they are 8 matches undefeated, and of course 8 wins in a row. And of course they are in the knockout stage of the Europa League. Besides that, he is really good on rotating the players. He's depending on the entire squad. He doesn't have favorite 11. Unlike PSV and Feyenoord, and that's why maybe they do have so many injuries at this time of the season, but you don't see this problem with Ajax. A player injured, there is always someone who probably plays with the same level. Rotating the team, nobody was happy with that in the beginning, but now we can see it's doing very well actually for Ajax.
Yeah, rotating the squad has clear benefits. I think there are only a handful of players who you would consider as undroppable players and are key to the 11. I think Harto's in that, Taylor. And you don't even think that maybe Henderson is even one of those players nowadays, because he has been rotated in and out. But you know that when they've got a big team to play, a big game coming up, like he's important. He's massive to that still. Some stats here for Ajax that I posted on Twitter. They're strong at home, 11 wins and 1 draw in 12 home league games. 12 clean sheet at home today in all competitions, just at home. And incredible season so far. I think Ajax fans will see it as one that's really, really memorable, one they'll remember for a long time if they can see it through. I really must ask, Abdul, what is your prediction right now for this? Do you think Ajax are going to win the title, or do you think PSV are going to come back from here?
It's still open between Ajax and PSV. There are still
Tough to call.
yeah, there are still like 14 matches left. A lot can happen, so it's very difficult to say how it's going to end. But it's definitely going to be between Ajax and PSV.
The other part of this question, by the way, was about the youth products. So does this paper the cracks, or or Taylor fits him hard to turning into stars? I don't know. That's really tricky. But I think these players are. There are some younger players getting minutes. I mean, there's another one today, wasn't there? Had his debut. Mokio, who's a Belgian 16-year-old, has been fantastic in the minutes he's had so far. Shame he's not Dutch. I think it's
the goal he scored was nice as well.
Oh yeah, so that they have got these players that are being given opportunities and they're excelling with it. I think that this summer Kenneth Taylor goes. I think he makes Ajax a really nice sum of money. I think if Brobbey goes, that's again more money for the club, and I think they make the most out of that, given that they don't need him anymore. Not quite as classy as last season. After that, Harto, I think he'll stay, but yeah, he's really coming on. He's really developing as a player. I don't see anything wrong with what Farioli is doing with this. Of course, people might argue the football isn't the best they've played. Of course, it's not. People might argue that they've had some luck along the way. Lucky Ajax. They've had a little bit of luck, but I think they have deserved to be top of the table. PSV have faltered a little bit, and Ajax have done well in Europe. They've had a few off days in that competition for sure, but it didn't matter, and it didn't affect them in the long run. They had 25 dodgy minutes against Union Saint-Gilloise and went down to 10 men, 2-0 down, but their fighting spirit is what kept them in the competition and seen them through. I think if they have a good performance against Frankfurt at home, they'll see it through away from home. I think they'll get through that one into the quarterfinals. Yeah, tough to call still, but this is going to be a really good title race, I think.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned Brobbey, it's the first time for a while now that he scores 3 goals in 4 matches. So
yeah.
Is he finding his way to score finally? I really hope so. We need him not only for Ajax, even for Oranje. So hopefully this will be the case. Hopefully he started to find his way again. And of course, I agree with you with the rest. Hatu, I think he is worth a lot of money. The same with Bass. I think Bass will develop big time with Ajax also.
How about this question for our next one from Vlad Alexov? He says, would Ajax winning the title with a team very much in transition be a bad look for the Eredivisie? I noticed as well that you've got a PSV logo as your picture there on social media. So yeah. I'm wondering if you're thinking, this is a terrible thing for PSV as well as the Eredivisie. No, I don't think so. Especially when you consider the top 2 are going into the Champions League. Like Ajax and PSV, there's a clear point gap to Feyenoord in third, and the rest that are chasing that third place. These two are going into the Champions League. How is this a bad thing if they're both going to be competing in the Champions League next season? A bad look for the league? No, I don't think it is. I think it's great that PSV are going to have to try harder. I think it's great that Ajax can win the league with what you would consider a lesser squad. It's a good watch. It's good for good attention for the league. I think it would be great actually if they won it from that perspective.
Well, I know maybe people will think that comparison is wrong, but I remember Manchester United once won the league in the last years of Alex Ferguson, and the team wasn't at its best condition, but he just knew how to win. They won with bad performance. This is what Ajax is doing nowadays. Farioli cares much for the results. And let's not forget that Frank de Boer did the same. For 4 years in a row, I think, or 3 years in a row, he won the league for Ajax with bad performance. Was it 4 years, Michael?
Yeah, it was 4. And I was thinking about bringing that up once you said about Ferguson and the result, performance not being great. I thought, well, on the opposite end of that, you've got Frank de Boer with Ajax. And I hated that. I hated the football. And it didn't seem right that they could win it. I think that was different, though, because the quality of the league was much lesser than now. The Dutch league is now the 6th best league in Europe, has been for a couple of years, will continue to be next year because of the coefficient being so strong. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's really good that there's that pressure at the top of the league. And the league is way stronger than it used to be when you have the Boer's side winning the league with really low points totals. Ajax, the last time they had 57 points at this stage, it was when they won the league with Ten Hag for those 2 years when they were supreme in the Eredivisie.
Well, if you also allow me to say, I think that the injuries of Feyenoord players and PSV players helped Ajax, which is that's how football is. You know, there is nothing wrong to take advantage of the injuries of other teams. Feyenoord suffered from bad luck this year. PSV had some also problems with some injured players. I think more than the entire midfield was injured actually for some part of the season for PSV, while Farioli knew how to avoid injuries at least by rotating the team as we mentioned earlier. So that's how he's winning. I don't think this will look the Dutch league. This will make the Dutch league looks bad as he said. Not at all.
No, I don't think so at all. Only a good thing for the healthy competition. So we've got another question. The next one, which I will put on the screen, says, I can't read it right now. Abdul, could you fill for a minute? To be fair, I can tell you what it's about. It's from Cam, who's another long-term listener of the podcast. He's talking about the top six in Europe, about those teams qualifying. So should we start by talking about a couple of results this week? So AZ got past Galatasaray. Twente got knocked out by Bodo Glimt. They're the sort of two main ones we haven't yet discussed. I watched the Twente game. I think you did too, didn't you? What did you make of that performance in Twente? Did they do the Netherlands proud in that aspect? And would you like to see them compete in Europe again next season, given their displays this year?
Well, Twente's performance the entire season in Europe wasn't really consistent. You know, they had very bad results. They gave away some important wins. They were leading 2-0 against Lille, I think, and Lille made a comeback 2-2. Although Lille did not even make it to the knockout stage, Lille almost. I think they lost all the matches in the Europa League. So unfortunately, Twente gave away many games. They should have been. They lost from teams that they could actually defeat. You know. So I was not really expecting Twente to go far. I was hoping for some luck, but obviously it did not happen. For Ajax, well, the first match against San Gilloise, they performed amazingly. I thought playing home will be so easy, will be an easy ride since they managed to win away in a bad pitch. But unfortunately, the match was so difficult. Ajax struggled a lot, especially with the bad start. San Gilloise scored 2 goals with, of course, a red card, but they managed to make it at least. What we really need to talk about the most is PSV and Feyenoord, because nobody from out of the Dutch league followers expected PSV and Feyenoord to make it, you know, to the round of 16. When you think of Milan against Feyenoord or Juventus against PSV, you will think it's impossible for the Dutch teams to make it, but they did. And they did with the quality, actually. They did with the style. Sorry for the cat. They did with the style, you know. PSV played an amazing match, as we mentioned, 3-1. Feyenoord played great in De Kuip and in Milan, in San Siro. In both matches, they did great. Nobody can say the two Dutch teams did not deserve to qualify. They both did deserve to qualify. It was really amazing.
The question that we have here is about the current top 6 standings are teams that give us the best shot to go furthest in Europe. Correct. Give us your end of season top 6 predictions. So just to be clear to people listening, they don't know, top 2 go straight into the Champions League group stage, league phase. 3rd place is a qualifying spot for the Champions League, but most likely becomes the Europa League league phase spot. 4th place, league phase. And then it kind of depends what happens with the Dutch Cup. So if the winner of the Dutch Cup, say, is PSV or AZ, and they finish in the top 4, then that opens up place lower down. So you've got 5th place being a Europa League qualifying spot, the second round, I believe it is. And then 6th place isn't actually a European spot. It is a playoff spot. So you've got 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th in the Eredivisie that are likely to be the Conference League playoffs. The winner of those, who you would anticipate to be the team that finishes 6th, going to the Conference League qualifiers in July or August, the second round again. So it's quite hard for the team that wins the playoffs to get to the main league phase. And this question from Cam wants to know, these 6 teams are the ones that are the best shot to go furthest in Europe. Correct. And RZ this week did an Evans proud as well. 4-1 win over Galatasaray in the home leg, 2-2 away from home. It was plenty to get through. These are the sides you want to be impressing, going as far as you can in Europe, because they're going to help the coefficient as well as those PSVs and finals that you talk about, Abdul. So you want the best 6 teams going. It looks like Utrecht will be in that top 6 this season, but where is anyone's guess, really? So if Utrecht can continue on their recent trajectory, which is to not really win many games, the law of averages dictates actually that Utrecht's start of the season was a flash in the pan, and a lot of their games were quite lucky wins, wide 1-goal margins. I think that suggests Utrecht will be slipping down to 6th place now for the rest of the season. Twente look quite good. They're getting wins still. RZ look very good. And I think they'll be their Feyenoord's biggest contender for 3rd place. I think at the moment, RZ do actually finish 3rd, but that's my prediction. Can't ask for it. I'm giving it. I think Feyenoord are 4th. And then you've got the top 2 being what they are, but in that order, wow, tricky. I've got to stick with PSV for the title, though, haven't I? I said at the start of the season, they still have the better quality, so I will go with PSV being top, usurping Ajax, who will come 2nd. I think RZ 3rd, Feyenoord 4th, Twente 5th, and Utrecht finish 6th. And do they win the playoffs? If it's not them, I think it'll be Go Ahead Eagles. And they really struggled, of course, in Europe back at the start of the season. But just to touch upon Go Ahead Eagles in this podcast, I think they've had a really solid campaign. Their Scandinavian attackers are very good to watch. Could have got them a goal in the first half at Ajax today. And I think if they win the playoffs instead of Utrecht, that's probably not a terrible thing. Utrecht haven't been great in the second half of the season so far. You just don't want them to crash out early on, and that's going to happen again at the moment, isn't it? We can see it happening. I'm not filled with confidence that Utrecht will go ahead, make it to the league phase of a European competition. But if they do, that is great for the league. They can win coefficient points. They can go on a run in a competition. I mean, have you seen the last 16 of a conference league? Have you seen that side of a draw where one of like Rapid Vienna, Djurgardens can make it to the semi-final? There's 4 teams that can make it to play potentially against Chelsea. Imagine if that was Utrecht or Go Ahead Eagles that are arguably as good as those teams. That would be great. Great for the competition. Great for the fans of that club. Yeah, I would love to see it. But my prediction is that Utrecht finish 6th, but I do think at the moment Go Ahead Eagles win those playoffs. Abdul, I've spoken for way too long. So what's your top 6 prediction? And Cam is right. Those teams are the best ones for going furthest in Europe. And you've seen it this season. Twente and Arsenal haven't been too bad. That these teams outside of the top 3, they are the ones that are really good to watch there as well.
Well, I was enjoying listening to you, so it's really fine. I agree with you about almost everything you said, except for I expect, and to be honest, I hope that Feyenoord wins the 3rd place. I think they do have the experience to qualify to the Champions League. I doubt that AZ can perform anything if they go to the Champions League playoffs. You know, they might not make it, so they will transfer to the Europa League. But Feyenoord, I think they do have a bigger chance of qualifying to the Champions League. It will be amazing to see PSV, Ajax, Feyenoord all in the Champions League for the first time since, as far as I can remember. I cannot even remember when the last time all the 3 were in the Champions League. Of course, about Twente, Utrecht, Go Ahead Eagles from the 5th and from the 5th to the 9th. AZ is the 4th. Twente is the 5th. Utrecht, Go Ahead Eagles. But who's going to be the 9th?
Oh, I think 8th and 9th, they're up for grabs from any team, to be honest. Nat Breda were there at one point, which is great for them. I can't believe Groningen managed to get into there as well now at the moment. It's so packed there. It just depends who's going to win a couple of games. And it's Nijmegen is still the best team on paper. Maybe with Sparta Rotterdam, but I don't think they'll get into those playoffs.
Well, okay, now it's Groningen, Heerenveen, NAC Breda, Fortuna Sittard, Nijmegen, Zwolle, Willem II. They all have a chance, by the way.
I don't want any of them qualifying for the Conference League. They're not strong enough. For the it's great for the fans, yeah, it's all brilliant, all roses, but no, we don't want them there, unfortunately. But it would take a Go Ahead Eagles or a Utrecht because they have been playing quite well and have had good games and they've got quality. And if they can keep that quality, that's when it becomes interesting. Like it did with Vitesse when Vitesse got to the group stage of the Conference League.
Yeah, yeah. I have to agree with you. I will not be. I wasn't happy, to be honest, when Go Ahead Eagles made it to the won the playoffs and played in the conference league
But that was
qualifier.
because they sold some of their players and they lost their manager. And I think had they had the team that they've got now with the manager they've got now at this point, now he's more experienced, I think we'd had more of a chance. And also, they were so unlucky with a draw. Yeah. It's been one of
So
the
we,
big moans of this season, hasn't it? On our podcast, I'm pretty sure we've brought up Go Ahead Eagles struggling in the Conference League qualifiers. And yeah, it is a shame. It's kind of marred their season a little bit. But for the Netherlands, it is important that a team goes far in
oh
that
yes.
competition and gets into it.
So we will have two teams in the Europa League. It's gonna be AZ and let's say maybe Twente, because
I think it'll
Twente
be
is,
three. Actually, no, I think it'll be two. I'm going to go for. I mean, we're way too ahead of ourselves here, but given that there are pages on Twitter that already predict the sides that go into the group phase, the league phase, should I say? I think it'll be Ajax and PSV in the Champions League. I think you'll see AZ, Feyenoord in the Europa League. I think Twente will go into the Conference League, and I think the team that finishes the winner of the playoffs, I think they will get knocked out of the qualifiers.
oh, you think they'll be knocked out in the qualifiers? Well, go ahead. Eagles play good actually in the qualifiers. I think they tied 1-1 if I'm not mistaken. Then they lost 1-0 or 2-1.
2-1.
They
Yeah,
lost 2-1. Yeah, so it was very close.
yeah.
I just hope,
Need some
but
luck in the draw.
let's not forget they faced the toughest team in the draw. It was Brann, the
Yeah.
Norwegian club. Yeah, so they need some luck to face maybe a lesser opponent. Hopefully that will be the case. It will be
Yeah,
amazing to have 6 teams in the European competitions next season. Really.
be fantastic for the sixth best
Yeah.
league in Europe. So I just wanted to share a stat that I put on Twitter the other day. People were enjoying hearing that AZ Alkmaar have got they're having a fantastic run of form. So since losing 7 out of 9 games in the autumn, they've now had 20 games since losing 7 from 9, and in those 20 games they've had 13 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. Have scored now 37 and conceded 9 in 20 games. That's unbelievable.
What team you're talking about? Sorry.
AZ Alkmaar.
AZ. Yeah. Okay.
It's brilliant, and I think that's why they finished third, because they have. I mean, just today beating Fortuna Sittard 1-0 in quite a low key game. That is important for a team that were losing at home to. They've lost it. It's quite recent last time to Sparta Rotterdam, but they've been losing games like this, dropping points, silly points, and they've actually now become a really strong team at home. And even though they don't blow teams away 4-5-0 in the way you'd think, they are much more solid defensively. Got to again shout out Owozo Aduro in goal for them, a young player having a great season. Yeah, this is a team again full of talent, and I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. It's very Dutch football, this team. And that's why I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them, really.
AZ is investing in their academy.
Oh, they always do. Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
always do. They had the generation of Cope Miners, Stengs, Buado, Reinders, and now they have a new generation.
Yeah.
The team does look very strong. Defeating Galatasaray 4-1 is not really something easy. And leading to, I know they gave away the win in Turkey,
but the thing is, they weren't phased by the atmosphere in Turkey. That another team could have crumbled and lost that 3 or 4-0.
True.
But not AZ. They've got good mentality as well.
Yes, true. So yeah, the team does have a great chance to be third, but still, I don't think they have the experience for the Champions League. So that's why I prefer Feyenoord to be third. I hope that's the case. I think they will have a bigger chance of qualifying to the Champions League.
Okay, we had another question, Abdul, and then it sort of opens the floor to any other business in this podcast. People still enjoying the show, of course, will want to see what the question was. Someone asked about Ihattaren. Do you reckon his return will be the X factor for the Dutch national team? Much to say here with Ihattaren. He's had a very good season with RKC Waalwijk, but to keep it brief, I don't think this is a likely thing.
I don't think he has a chance. I don't know anything about his mentality. I know that he suffered a lot after the death of his father, and he never recovered, or he stayed not recovered for a while. Now maybe he just started to move on, but I don't think it's possible for him to make it to the national team. it's too late now, in my opinion.
Right, Abdul, thank you so much. That's 40 minutes of this show. I hope people have enjoyed it. And I think before we go, we've got to shout out the scarves one more time. So if you're a fan of the podcast and you would like to support what we do, the scarves are a little pricey, you have to admit, but it is to support what we do. It adds to our kitty and keeps us going. We've got the Football-Oranje scarf, high quality, custom made by a company that makes actual football club scarves. You can go and check them out. They're called Hercules Merchandise, and you can see all the clubs they do it for on there. The scarf is nicely stitched. Look at that, orange and black. Got it in stripes. 2 messages, one on each side. Football-Oranje one side. #1 Dutch football fan on the other. They'll be nicely on display here, proud on display forevermore in our podcasts. And yeah, get your hands on one. We'll leave a link, of course, on YouTube, so you can go and get yourself one. Yeah, thank you for your support and with what you do as people, as fans of Football-Oranje and Dutch football. Yeah, Abdul, anything else you want to add before we go?
Well, I just wish the best for the Dutch clubs still participating in Europe. They will play in 10 days, I think, or I think they will play in 10 days from now. I wish them all the best. And of course, after that, we have to switch our minds to Oranje. We're going to face Spain on the 20th of March, which is going to be very soon.
Exactly. So you've got a few weeks to get your scarf ready in time for the game.
Yeah, so it's time to get the scarf in case you want to watch the game, or even if you want to watch it from home. You don't have to go. But wearing the scarf, feeling that you're part of Oranje fan group is amazing, really.
Got to get yourself some luck. I probably better stop wearing this because this is for my next customer. So, bye, everybody.
You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.